Hi, I'm Joshua.
Hi, I'm Jeremy.
This is the Brothers Judah. Welcome.
Welcome back.
Okay, which deadly sin are we talking about today?
Well, all week I was trying to see which one spoke to me, and the one that just kept coming to mind was greed.
Okay.
So, and I was trying to pinpoint where and when I felt greed, and I was having a tough time doing it. And it could be that it's one that I struggle with less, or it could be that I'm just having trouble seeing it. So there's one time, it might have been two, but I think there was one time specifically that I was trying to decide whether I was being greedy or not. So maybe I'll mention that, and then we can try to go in and define greed.
Okay.
Stuff. But so back last March or so, I'd put a small amount into Tesla when the stocks dipped after the virus and everything. So I put it in there because the price went down a lot, and I really believe in Tesla, and I think that long term it's going to be great. And it was like it went on sale, so I was like, oh sure. So I had some money and I put it in, and then it just kept going up like crazy all this past year, and it ended up basically tenfolding the money. So now, what a small amount of money now turned into an amount of money that was, significant, at least for my, my salary and position financially in my life. So then I was getting a feeling like the stock was slightly overvalued because it had gone up so much, and I don't think overvalued for the long term. I think long term it's still going up, but for short term I felt like it might go down a little bit. So I was trying to decide which direction would have been me being greedy. Scenario one, where I sold, and then at the point when it went down, I then could rebuy. Or scenario two, where I just kept it in. So I think I settled on an answer for myself, and I think I found that I was being greedy if I wanted to sell and rebuy at a lower price. And I think I was kind of rationalizing, well, basically I was worried that if I just kept it in there, I was being greedy in wanting to make more and not cash out on my earnings. But then in the other scenario where I sold and rebought, I was trying to be greedy in trying to get more of a gain by cashing out at a higher price and rebuying at a lower price.
But what's your other underlying intention? Because being in the stock market to not make more money defeats the purpose. So what, like if you were to hold because you thought it would grow more and make more, like that's the purpose of having money in the stock
but
market.
I guess it's like picture someone's at a casino and they're playing and they make their winning. If they keep wanting to play more rather than just cash out their chips and go home,
So
that's kind of greedy.
Are you just doing it for the money then? Like, are you just putting in there to get the money? Like, I personally, I don't own any stocks. You know this because you know how I feel about money making.
I know.
Money.
I didn't want this to turn into a stock
it's a hard
conversation.
It's a hard one for me to see it outside of the context of my bias about money making money. Like, to me, just wanting money to make money to me is greedy, because you're not doing anything to earn that money. You want to just make more. You just want it to become more without doing any work. So I think playing the stocks at all. I mean, a lot of people are going to disagree with that.
Well, but okay, let's say. See, this is going to turn into a different conversation.
I know.
But
do you have another example not related to the stock market?
I guess. I mean, because if I.
Well, let's just finish your.
Well, I was gonna go all into that point, but forgetting that whole making money interest in stocks.
By the way, Elon Musk doesn't invest. He only puts his resources into what he's building. So I actually invest like Elon.
I know, but
I'm just
okay.
joking.
But let's. All right, you brought it up.
I'm joking.
Let's say Elon had all that vision and drive and intelligence, but he didn't have enough money to open a factory and hire people and stuff. He would need investments.
I know.
So there's a purpose for investments.
I understand.
But I guess to bring it back to the greed and not into that conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there's the aspect of I want to invest in Elon Musk and Tesla because I think it is beneficial for the world. I'm a little scared about the whole artificial intelligence thing, but that's a side thing. But to be honest, I think my primary motivation was to make more money. So,
Okay.
but is wanting more money just in and of itself greedy? So if like right now, like, would you rather have another $1,000? Is that greedy, or is that just?
If we're talking about this from the context of a deadly sin and the Judeo-Christian framework, I would say yes.
Okay, what if it wasn't money? Since I know you and I have different
Yeah.
kind of. Let's pretend. Let's I guess forget money because that introduces another topic.
Yeah.
Food. So. Okay, so when I grow in my garden, that's a perfect example. So let's say I'm growing in my garden. I feel like I'm constantly wanting to plant more. So I initially started with my garden, I don't know, 6 years ago or something, with a certain amount of land, like a 4 feet by 6 foot area. Then the next spring I expanded it. Then the next spring I expanded it again. And then the next spring, every year I'm keep expanding what I'm growing more and more. So is that greedy? And at what point does it become greedy?
Are you meeting your family's food needs from what you're growing?
Okay, so is that kind of like gluttony, where once you're satiated, anything more? Because I did hear that the others, like gluttony and lust and things, there's a little bit of greed in it all because you want more than excessive amounts. So if I'm growing enough food for myself and my family, anything excess greedy? But what if it's not? What if it's to give? What if it's to give to you?
If you're growing excess to give to your local homeless shelter or something, or food pantry, I think it comes down to what's the underlying motivation. Is the underlying motivation to serve God's will, or is the underlying motivation to gain for ourselves?
Okay, so yeah, the selfish intent. So I would agree with that. If you're wanting more to be able to do more good, and it's not selfish, then I don't think that's sin of greed. But let's say it is selfish. I feel like there might be two different I don't know the word, intents behind the selfishness. So in one scenario, getting more to have it because like you want more for, I don't know how to put it to words. I'll tell you the other scenario. The other one is a fear of lacking. So for me with the food, yes, there is motivation that I do want to be able to give a lot. I want to give to family and friends. I love being able to show up when I meet with my pastor and I bring her a little bag of garlic. It makes me happy. So there is that. But setting that aside, there is the fear of not having enough. There's the fear that at some point, I won't have enough potatoes grown for my family to eat. So,
I think there's some prudence in planning for a rainy day. So I think if you want to grow extra and try to store some up for the winter, I think that's part of the natural cycle and part of like within God's creation. I think that's part of creation. But I think there gets to a point where fear could restrict us from helping someone else.
Yeah.
And they could be starving and we could have stuff that's rotting.
And we're just hoarding all of this food rotting.
There are people with hundreds of millions of dollars who have fear that they don't have enough, or they want more because they're fear they don't have enough.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, at what point do you? And I thought about this from the opposite perspective because I always wanted to donate 10% of my earnings, and when I was making too little to survive myself, I was like, how can I donate when I don't have enough myself? And at some point, I just got to a point where I just said, I can just rationalize this forever. Like I just have to start tithing 10%. So I just started doing it, like 10% to my local homeless shelter, and then I started just restricting my groceries. Like I was like, I have to cut. This is part of my commitment. So fear, I think like the devil, the evil one, bargains in fear. Like that's kind of like his territory.
That's a big one this past year.
And it can keep us, I think, from doing greater good. And Jesus did say like about having faith, like not to worry about tomorrow, what you wear and what you'll eat. Like what today's suffice it for today.
Trying to
I
remember the
forget
quote. Maybe you'll remember the one with the bird and if the
Yeah.
bird and the
God takes care of the sparrow,
yeah.
and clothes the flowers in the field with beautiful colors, like not to worry.
Yeah.
So I think it comes down to that, like really doing soul searching and self-reflecting and saying, what is my motivation? What is my underlying intention? Is this prudent for survival and for working to protect my family, which is part of healthy intention? Or is it wanting to have more than others, to have a leg up? And like, I think it requires soul searching.
Yeah. I think I do need to spend more time than just the past week thinking about it, because greed is really something that I've never, I don't know, never, but I haven't thought about as much as gluttony and lust. That was easy. I've been for years focusing internally and doing the soul searching and noticing when I was being gluttonous and when I was having lustful thoughts, things like that. But greed, I never really gave it much thought, because I think all along I really didn't think I was a greedy person.
I think you're a very generous person and a very caring person. So I think even if you're trying to do something like grow more food, it's for good reason. Like I don't think
I appreciate that, but
yeah.
even though I humbly agree with you in some sense that I think overall I am caring, and I think there still is some aspects, I think, of greed maybe where when I'm wanting to grow more food, it's to have more. And I think it's more stemmed of fear than the other thing, which I can't put my words to. I don't know if you're talking about like accumulating not for fear because you want it and you don't want other people to have it and you want to have more than them and I want the best car. Like,
I mean, that's like not really caring about the wellness of others, the well-being of others. Like they're that's like what's in our heart. Like I don't know. Like we probably don't have a word for it because we probably don't really understand it, to be honest.
I don't, and I know that if my greed is there, it's because of fear. I'm afraid that I wouldn't have enough food, or I wouldn't have enough this or something. So I want an excessive amount to be sure that there is enough.
Yeah. Fear of loss. Yeah, I have that too.
Yeah.
Or fear of not having enough. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to over the next few weeks and beyond focus more on that. But I wanted to bring it up because I haven't really thought about it in the past, and I was struggling with.
I actually have another scenario that it's funny you brought this topic up because it just happened literally like earlier before I got home.
All right, hit me with it.
So I was at the grocery store, and I've been juicing celery for like over 6 years now, every day. So I've been going to this one particular grocery store for literally over 5 years, every week.
Okay.
And buying 14, I juice 2 bags a day, so I buy 14 bags of organic celery. And when they don't have it, I panic because that one bag has 3 bunches, but at the other store, the bag only has 2 bunches and it's the same price. It's $3.99 a bag. And I want to make sure I have enough because I feel like my survival depends on it. And so today, like sometimes when I get there, there's only a few bags. Sometimes I get there, there's a ton.
You buy it all up and
yeah. So I get there today. I usually buy 14 bags a week. I get there today. There's only 12 bags left.
Okay.
So I'm thinking in my head like I don't know if anyone else literally shops at the store that juices celery. So I'm like, immediately I'm like, oh my God, I need it all. I get that like greedy feeling, and I was like, so I bought all 12. And I was thinking like, well, what if there's other people who want to juice and they want organic too? Because there's like a whole stack of the non-organic conventional, right? I'm like, then I'm rationalizing, I'm like, but I've been shopping here for over 5 years, doing the same thing for over 5 years. The store should just buy more. Supply and demand. So like, I'm going back and forth, and I'm like, I think if I wasn't feeling greed and I was just pure of heart, I would still buy it because I can't predict who wants what. I'm buying it. It's there. It's available. I'm buying it. But the fact that I'm like struggling with it made me question I'm feeling greedy. I'm feeling like fear that I won't have what I need.
That's interesting. Yeah, because what if there's another person like you who shows up at a store after you and now can't buy any?
But I don't can't predict that.
What if there's not? And what if the grocery store owner goes, Nobody bought
then
the
they
celery.
won't buy more. If I
Let's
don't
throw
buy
it
it, they
out.
won't buy more.
Yeah,
so it's like,
yeah. I think it would have been greedy maybe if because normally if you buy 14,
yeah,
let's say there was 18 or 20 and you were having fear and and then you bought it all. Maybe
I would do that, except I live paycheck to paycheck. So I can only afford so many every week. So I'm on a week. Like when COVID happened last year,
Yeah.
and I got to the grocery store and all the freezer sections were empty. It's like I only have enough to buy one bag of this every week. So it's like it kind of set me free from that. It was actually interesting because I felt liberated because it was like I'm on a weekly cycle here. Like next week, if there's no food anywhere, I'm starving, and it's liberating. It's like, and then you go to like the cheap grocery store. There's a couple of them that are like kind of lower end or whatever, like the stock item, bulk stock items, and you go in there, it's like nothing was off the shelves. You go into like the more upscale grocery, everything was gone.
All
And
stocked
it's like
up.
the people in need don't have all this fear.
Well, I think they
as
don't have the
much.
money to, like you said, they're living paycheck to paycheck.
But there's a place of surrender when you get to that point where it's like the sparrows in the field. Like you're living day to day, and it's like you're in the moment. Like you're not in that place. So I don't know.
No, that's an interesting story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that. I mean, that's like the bank run. It's
Yeah.
you hear about it, and that's why you have these crazy cycles. And
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm glad that we talked about this one since
Yeah.
you had a similar experience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll think about it more over I guess, in the future. Try to really focus and.
I think just to wrap it up, like the final point in terms of a solution is just to look at what our intention is and search our heart, right?
I think that's big, the intent and the heart, and really feel what, if the intent of me growing food is to ensure my family has enough, my friends have enough, I can give, and then that's great. If the intent is like either out of fear or out of that other word I can't think of,
Yeah.
then that's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. One more down.
Any last words, or let's end it?
No, this is a great conversation.
All right, good. Thank
All
you.
right. We'll see you next week.